Alright, this is New Mutants, issue 58, by Louise Simonson and Bethany Belieber, and you will not find a comic book more derivative of the film Mac and Me. This comic is the closest thing to a remake of Mac and Me we will ever get. If you somehow didn't know, there was a film in the 80s called E.T. And then after that, in the 80s, there was a shameless rip-off called Mac and Me. And then after that, in the 80s, there was a shameless rip-off of the shameless rip-off called New Mutants, issue 58. The plot of this issue and the plot of Mac and Me is the plot to E.T., but with 200% more product placement for McDonald's. If you didn't know about E.T., the plot is a little alien fella comes to Earth and befriends some children, and fun is had by all. In Mac and Me and in this, it is the same setup, but with McDonald's being a big part of the plot. The New Mutants, the young members of the Excellent Men, they have adopted this weird bird creature. Let's call him Mac. And they are trying to teach him how to speak English and communicate with them because they didn't know anything about Cyber can talk to him because Cyber's power is language and he can talk to anything. So I reckon that he should get a job working in a call centre or as a volunteer with Samaritans. And I remember this period of the book with Mac. It seems to go on for ages. I remember it as being really long and the mystery about him being dragged out. And he never really grows as a character or even becomes much of a character. He is just this weird, lanky bird man. He's like Stephen Merchant with feathers. And he just hangs around and he ends up dominating all the plot. There is virtually no subplot in this at all. No even little hints to ongoing character subplots. It is all about Mac and them trying to domesticate him and teach him how to do stuff. And just like in Mac and Me, McDonald's is the answer. The only words he learns to say are McDonald's and French fries, and so Magic Girl gans and has to get him a McDonald's. And Mac, he bloody loves McDonald's, he does. The hamburger, he loves the hamburger. The fries, he loves the fries. The milkshake, he loves the milkshake. And McDonald's has brought everyone together, and isn't McDonald's wonderful? This really should be where the McDonald's stuff ends, and you could argue that it maybe served a purpose of being a somewhat awkward bit of popular culture that they used. But no, they're going to McDonald's again to get some food. I will say the unbelievable plagiarism of Mac and Me is restrained enough not to have them do a dance number and get Ronald McDonald out as a character. I do tend to dislike plots like this, where it is like animal stuff, kids adopting an animal, that sort of stuff, because I just feel too much sympathy for the animal. Animals are easier to root for than people. Not so much Mac here, but I still have a hard time dealing with this sort of story. He gets to put on an excellent men uniform though, and they start treating him like he is one of the team. So that is a nice sentiment. I do like how most of the kids are written. It is nice to see them act a bit like children rather than the belaboured prose thinking nonsense we had for the first 54 issues of this series. And this all leads into the Fall of the Muties crossover, which is advertised with this brilliant house art, David Allen's art. I reckon this is one of the most iconic adverts for a comic book story ever. Speaking of adverts, we're back at McDonald's. You see, Mac, he loves hamburgers. He loves the hamburgers they do at McDonald's, or as I call them, steamed hams. And he is trying to escape with all his steamed hams, and he wants to return home, but the new muties stop him, and he almost drops his steamed hams, but thank God, Magic Girl caught them. You see, Mac, he comes from this island where a horrid scientist performs horrid science experiments and creates horrid monstrosities. This isn't ripped off from Mac and Me. It's from the island of Dr. Moreau. Mac, he was wanting to return to the island and bring all his friends on the island some mouth-watering McDonald's. I really hope Louis Simons at least got a free double cheeseburger out of this. So then the excellent men, they have Magic Girl teleport them all to the evil island, and they are confronted by a bunch of vicious mutates, and we have a tiny little teaser down there showing the evil scientist, and this begins the Fall of the Muties story arc for the New Muties. The 3 Excellent Men books each had a separate big story arc that were branded as Fall of the Muties. This was the second best of the 3. The art is an acquired taste, but when you start to get into it, it's good. The writing is, well, Mac and Me, and by extension this comic, has an infamous 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Me, I rate it 7 thumbs up.